Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dear Alice. Today, we're going to be talking about stairs. We have a listener question, which really lit us up. And we said, we've got so much to talk about and show. So if you guys if you can tune in to watch, we're going to be showing you the anatomy of the stairs, lots of examples of our work, and some other examples of things that we hope to try in the future. So I think this is going to be a visual feast.
It is. And I think it's the personality flavor, you can do a lot more with stairs than I think people realize or give themselves credit to express. Because your stairs, it's one of the few architectural things inside the home that you get to experience from plane to plane and walk by and I don't know, it does a ton. So yeah, I'm really excited for today.
I also feel like stairs are a real signature element of the homes we work on. We break our brains over custom newel posts, custom balustrades, really making a fashion statement, because the stairs are usually a central location or at least central to the entry, and they are a moment. And so we'll usually really break our brains over a custom floor tile installation and custom stair balustrade situation.
It's a memory point.
It is.
Do you remember Holiday?
Yes.
Movie, and everyone's just like, okay, we'll talk about the holiday. And then it always goes to, how about that striped runner?
Yeah.
In the English cottage. You're just like, I know. Small, it's like most humble English cottage, but the striped runner gave back that much that we all talk about it still.
And speaking of striped runner, at the very end of the podcast, Suzanne threw in a few little favorite resources for striped runners at the end, because the staircase wouldn't be complete without getting the right thing on the stairs too. Yeah. So we're going to be breaking that down today.
Yeah. So our question came from Karen Sambonga, but she also left us an amazing review. So I thought I'd share that first, and then we'll get into her question.
Karen.
Yes, thank you, Karen. She wrote in and said, I just love your show and will forever be eternally grateful for it and you. I started listening about a year ago and have binge listened to every episode on my morning walks and runs, repeating shows on YouTube and re-listening to many episodes over lunch, driving, and even while dyeing my hair. I feel like I've taken a crash course or masterclass in design, and I've needed it.
Oh, nice. That's the best.
Super nice of her. So thank you so much,
I can
Karen.
picture you, Karen, dyeing your hair doing this. You're like me. I'm a multitasker too, and I love listening while I'm doing something.
It just takes the boring out of it.
It really does.
Guys, I thought it was dyeing. It's actually drying her hair.
Oh,
I'm like, she's dyeing her hair.
I'm sorry.
No, but I'm like,
drying.
that sounded really fun.
My bad.
Karen.
Yeah.
You're dyeing your hair and listening to us at the same time. How
Hey.
creative
Drying
is
your hair.
that?
I wouldn't put it past Karen, though.
I know, Karen.
Karen, thanks for the great review. That's so nice.
Great. So yeah, like Jess said, our podcast today is from a question that Karen gave us as well. So this is the question. She wrote, I need your help navigating one of the major design points in my home, a set of floating stairs that are part of the entry and the main living area. The living room is a 2-story room with large glass sliding doors overlooking an infinity pool out to the lake. Sounds amazing.
Hello.
She has a pool and a lake.
Yeah. It's a transitional style home, and I am worried that the floating stairs will make too modern of a statement and start dictating other design elements in the interior. The fireplace is a real wood-burning fireplace with a French country mantle cast in limestone. Charming. I know, right? Most of the floating stair designs I see use glass handrails. Every stair design in my inspiration deck, before we decided to do floating, uses metal balusters attached to the treads or on top of the stringer or on the side of the stringer. I'd really like to have balusters as I think this adds an elegance to the overall design. At the same time, I worry I'm not embracing the floating stairs and letting them be the statement element that they can be if I try to hide all the things that make them, in fact, floating. Do I just need to let go of my lovely balustrades?
Okay.
It's a lot to unpack.
Sue, go.
Yeah.
Okay. Sound off, girl.
No, with everything you've said, Karen, I feel like you play this a couple different ways. If you do a floating staircase, and we're going to show you some pictures, all the research that we've done is that when I see just a floating staircase, and floating staircase, just so everybody knows what we're talking about, is when the actual tread is essentially looks like a floating block. It'll usually have like an iron like base stringer underneath. And you often, like she said, you'll have like a glass rail that's just like going. So it really does appear to be floating, which is really, really beautiful. Whenever you see iron balustrades like hooked to those treads, it kind of takes the float away from it. Like it feels like off weight. It feels unbalanced. And so with floating staircase, I like glass the best. And if you wanted to do this, it is modern. And like, if you play it right, it could be cool. Like, but it's the modern thing. It's like the French, you know, the awesome Parisian apartment that has modern elements with the super traditional. Because I mean, architectural pieces, your fireplace is traditional, wood burning, limestone mantle, and then you have a glass staircase. And it's almost like it wants to be the only thing that is modern amongst all those if you move forward with it. Or we would say ditch the floating staircase and like carry with the rest of the architecture. So it just depends on your transitional. So you could probably pull it off the glass, but there's going to have to be a lot of different efforts you put into the overall aesthetic to make it make sense. Otherwise, it will feel like a miss.
It feels like from you describing your home, Karen, that you should go with the set of stairs, just regular stairs, not floating, with that iron balustrade that you're craving that attaches to the stringer. Like that feels like the right thing.
Most authentic. Yeah.
The floating staircase thing, you've got to be all in with it because it is an architectural feat. You want it to look weightless and to float. And like Sue said, you put an iron balustrade on top of a floating staircase, and it's a little bit of an oxymoron because you're adding a lot of visual weight to the stairs. Iron balustrades are heavy looking, and it has all of this railing now that this floating element is supposed to uphold. It's just, it's trying to combine two things that don't go together. We did a little bit of research, and we did find some images just to sort of show you the difference. So those of you that are tuning in and watching, this is on screen right now. This is a floating staircase, if you will, and it does have a handrail on top of it that's iron, and then it looks like we've got aircraft cables that are strung through it horizontally. You just don't need all of this. We really don't. I think this horizontal line on the railings is also kind of a dated thing in contemporary design.
And a liability.
Yeah. Both Sue and Corey have little kids. Why is it a liability, Sue?
That is a ladder to launch is what that is. Like, I've seen it before, and I've rescued children before from these things because they're ladder rungs. They're gonna fly. Or they will fall, actually. No one's flying. They're falling.
Don't you think, too, like the stairs have enough beautiful rhythm that is happening? You don't need to add all of this in the mix, too. No. You just need to allow them to float.
And I will say majority of plans when we get elevations, like this is like the basic thing that architects have probably had in their system for a long, long time. They know that we're going to do something new, but the client sees it and they're like, well, should we go with this? And I'm like, no. You could do so many more neat things. Like, don't just call it in. Don't phone it in with the ladder.
Yeah. Opposite of the ladder, I have on the screen right now, this is a floating staircase, and they went with vertical metal balustrades. And it just kind of makes the staircase feel ordinary. You forget the fact that it's floating because your eye is going to the handrails and whatnot. And then you're like, oh, yeah, look at that. That is floating. But you don't get the credit for it that you deserve because I feel like all of the weight of the handrail is taking away from the floaty effect.
And you kind of get competing rhythms because your vertical repetition and then your other repetition of the floating stairs, if those were like running into like one solid stringer, that's the thing that has the rhythm. Not competing with the treads.
Okay, so this is a great example of a floating staircase. This is a home that we did in Dallas. It's our St. John's project on the portfolio. This is shooting the home at dusk, and you can just see the lights on inside, and you really get this floating staircase effect because you don't have handrails in the mix. You do have a little thin wood handrail on top of the glass sort of pony wall, if you will, just to be able to hold something as you go down these stairs. But you can see it's an architectural feat, and that is just such a highlight. It feels like a backbone in this home. It's just stunning. And then this is a shot from the interior of the home during daytime. Again, you just want that really floating effect. You get that vertebrae coming down that center spine, All of the handrails are floating. Of course, you're up against a 2-story glass wall, much like Karen has a 2-story glass wall. So Karen, if this is a look that you like, if you can envision this and then your infinity pool and then the lake, I think it's visually stunning. But you do have to sort of check yourself and go, yeah, that's the feeling I want in my house. This is very chic, right? And contemporary.
Yeah. Would you guys say like, even like this home is transitional, the entire home may be leaning a little bit more like contemporary. If you're leaning like traditional, it's probably, if you are transitional but leaning traditional, probably not the right call to do floating.
And also thinking, Karen, because it has such a view of a lake and a pool, you probably don't have window grids, but if that whole wall had window grids, it would complicate the floating stairs.
Yeah.
Again, definitely don't do the balustrades on the floating stairs if that's the case. And it's just, I don't know, you wouldn't get near the points if you did have grids on your window, like with a floating stair.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think this home like illustrates that point like exactly. Like it's giving the stairs, like that system, all of the credit because of the 2-story glass wall, but also the glass pony wall down it. So
it's this big ta-da, this big vibrato. This is what we're celebrating. And when you walk into this room, you're like, oh, you get that. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. You would just complicate it and fuss it up. And I think you'd lose that big aha moment with even more rhythm and complicating because it's just supposed to be this effortless, chic architectural feat,
Yeah, like totally agree.
The architect like place on that home of it, the exterior at dusk, like the architect placed it so that as you approach the street, that's the first thing you see is that end of the house with the staircase. So
cool.
It's definitely something to boast. I love it. But I think there's definitely rules that go along with floating stair.
Yeah, for sure. Here's another floating stair if you're watching. This is a project we did actually here in Utah. This home is contemporary, very black and white and still really chic. So that gives you that feeling. And now we're going to get into the other look that you really like, Karen. And this is the iron set of balustrades and newel posts and handrails. This is in Rachel Parcells' home. We've got the fittings that attach to the stringer. The stringer, for those of you, we're going to just really quickly, let's go through the anatomy of the stairs so that everybody is familiar with this. So if you guys are watching, you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about. So the parts of the staircase, Corey, will you take us through this? You're a shop guy.
Let's start with the newel post. That is what the handrail runs into. So it's like typically like a bigger, let's think of it as like a bigger balustrade. And then the balustrades obviously run from the handrail to the stair of some kind, whether that's the tread itself or the stringer. So those run vertical, up or down the stairs. And then the tread is like what your foot is stepping on when you're going, when you're walking up or down the stairs. The riser is pretty self-explanatory, but it is the part that goes from one tread and then rises up to the next tread.
The little vertical flat member that like connects the two treads.
And then the stringer is like, it can either be on the wall on the inside or most commonly on the outside of like an exposed staircase. And that just runs up the same pitch of the stairs and it's below the tread. And again, sometimes the balustrades are connected into the side of it. So
I always think of it as like the baseboard for the stairs.
Yes, exactly.
Like that's how I like visually can explain.
And then, it's pretty much the anatomy.
Rules for I will just say for the tread and the riser, it's a 7-11 usually. Like you have an 11-inch deep tread and you have a 7-inch. So easy math. 7-11 is your riser and tread if you ever need to remember that.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome to
know. We've all stepped on stairs that were not that ratio. And you're like, that is not to
especially
code.
homes built back in the day.
That is not to code.
Or it's like, we got to get up in that attic somehow. And it's like more like a ladder.
It's like a 7-7.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Jess, we've been getting a ton of questions on who makes your glasses.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone wants to know.
You guys, I'm at this age now where my near vision is leaving me. You're not quite as old as I am yet, but Sue, you're experiencing this.
40 hit and like
Yeah.
I needed my glasses before, but I really, really need them now.
Yeah. Between 40 and 45, that cell phone type gets really tiny. So I was in search for the perfect pair of readers, and I tried Look Optic. And I have to say, I've loved them so much that I've actually began working with them a little bit as an advisor. And my dad's an eye doctor. My brother-in-law is. I really, really love eyewear. And it's been really fun to be back in the game. And I love their readers. I love the fashion frames. It's not a pair of frames that looks like I'm wearing something made for men. You know those readers when you go to Walgreens or when you go to the grocery store or somewhere, and they're just like a 3-pack and they all look like they were made for men. Look Optic actually has really cute frames that are made for women.
Especially for, again, those ones that look like men's, they look like a giant man on my little head.
Yes, Suzanne
frame.
has a child-size head, and they actually have minis at Look Optic. The Diane Keaton collection, I gave you all my Diane Keaton ones.
I love the Diane Keaton collection. They fit my head great. They're comfortable.
Yeah.
They have the cutest colors. Like some of them are matte. They have the bone ones. I love them so much.
Yeah, they're cute. And one of my little like fast passes that I want to tell everybody is that if you do the progressive lens, it's clear up top. You just get magnification in the bottom where you need it, because that's how you're looking at a cell phone or you're reading paper down here or you're on your laptop. You don't need magnification out the top because that's going to make your eyeballs look huge.
Yeah.
And then you really look like you're wearing a reader. So we're trying to like keep this low profile. And so I always go with the progressive. My favorite styles, I really love the Laurel. And they have this cool one that's like the Muse. It kind of looks like a 70s update. It's cool. They have one with a pink lens too. In fact, my daughter's still that one from me. It's great. Anyway, you guys can discover your own styles, but I will say Look Optic has been such a gateway for me as I've needed to jump into that reader category.
Right now, you can receive some free glasses from Look Optic. All you have to do is text Alice to 21252. That is text Alice, ALICE, to the number 21252. The first 20 new customers will get a free pair of readers. And if you're an existing customer, we also have an amazing discount for you. If you go to lookoptic.com, you can use the code ALICE15 for 15% off.
So here we're in Rachel Parcells' house, and this is a really special detail. Most of the time, you're going to have a balustrade come down and really connect into that tread. That's the most common thing that you see in all homes. So this is like the extra credit thing that you can do, and more European. I think this definitely has an old world feel to it.
And I think if you're going to do this, you have to have a lot of interest in your balustrades. It can't just be like it has to have something unique to it, or there's no point in connecting it to the stringer. No. It should just run into the tread at that point. So, if you're going to do that, create some interest with your balustrades, I'd say.
Yep.
And when you listen to the description of Karen's home with like the limestone floors and the French country mantle cast in limestone, like her real wood burning fireplace, I look at this set of stairs and I think this would be so charming with the aesthetic that's already existing in the home. Yep. So I think,
city, man.
Yeah, it really is. It's so elegant and European and black iron, and so very pretty.
Probably easier to kind of tie all of that together with, a more like traditional staircase, right? Than like floating. The floating maybe could be done, but it's going to be a lot of work trying to make that fit with everything else. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I think so. Especially with all those traditional architectural elements, matching that traditional element, and then taking your transitional, some more modern, like cleaned up moments, that becomes more topical. At least architecturally, it's all speaking the same language.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you one more set of stairs that we did in a project here in Utah. And this is a similar idea, but a much more straight design where Rachel's had a lot more soft lines. This we're attaching, it's a black iron balustrade. We're also attaching to the stringer, but we're offsetting it with a little brass detail there.
Yeah, this is part of our Windsor Manor project on our portfolio, if you want to go look at it. And the rhythm of this was so much fun, even though like she's a little bit more transitional and the straights, but those little brass, those brass fittings were like, it wasn't like this came from a stock catalog. It looked simple, but the brass little knuckles and stuff, those came from England, I think. And just anyway, it was still complex, but still very, very unique. If you're listening to this, definitely go check it out on the portfolio, because I think how we did those, I remember when we were sketching this out, just those horizontal like little connections and things. Those details is what makes this so special, that follow the tread width and the depth there.
I mean, it is simple, and kind of like we were just barely talking about, it has to have some interest if it's going to go into the be tied into the stringer like that. One thing I think is amazing about this is how it's in groups of 3. Mm-hmm. You have 2 mounts into the stringer per tread, but it's a rhythm of 3, and that's what I think makes it. Yeah, that's what I think makes it unique and interesting, and also the little detail that's like 8 inches down from the handrail kind of ties into the stringer mount as well. It kind of just plays off of that. So I think that's really cool. Again, super interesting, which needed to happen with tying into the stringer.
Yep. One thing sorry, Justin.
No, go ahead.
One thing as you guys are designing your like custom, your balustrades in this like really big showcase of a stair, right, in your home, is that you'll see things that like look really beautiful, but there are certain codes here in the US that you can only have 4 inches between
each balustrade.
There can't be any width up the stairs that's bigger than 4 inches, because your kids will stick their head in and they'll get caught and hurt. So if you see something that's wider than 4 inches, it's international, and we can't do it here.
Or grandfathered in.
Or grandfathered in. Anyway, so
you might want to keep those old handrails, because grandfathering is really fun.
That actually happened to me at our house. We had a rail built for our outside walkout, and the inspector came, and he had a ball that was 4 inches, and he would like put it through, and it slid through, and he was like, you gotta redo that. Don't try to get away with it, because you'll end up rebuilding your handrail. So
there you go. Yeah. There's that. Okay. I was going to point out that these are all custom. Yeah. So you're not going to find these pieces and parts available on a catalog for you just to put this together. You're going to work with an iron worker in your town, somebody that's really good with metal, and you're gonna work out all of these details, which is again a real signature element of the home. Yeah. And I want to say for Karen out there, I think this application on the one that's on screen right now with the more straights, this little bit simpler could lend a little more transitional, where I feel like going back to Rachel's, this feels a lot French, a lot more French, a lot more European, a bit more feminine and fanciful, if you will. So if you're craving something a little bit more transitional, this could be a way to still get that European feeling that you already have going in your home, but modernize it a little bit, make it transitional.
This could live really nicely with your French fireplace.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah, another view of that space. And now we're getting into our Washington, D.C. project. This is Capitol Heights on the portfolio. Those of you tuning in on YouTube or Spotify can see this. Sue, tell them what they're looking at here.
Okay. When we pitched this to the client, we always try and do a high and a low because we're responsible. So this was the high.
Good for them.
Good for you know. And like we all fell in love with it. And so what this is these are custom balustrades going directly into the tread. That is one thing I just want to point out. Like all these go into the floor, to the tread, which I think is a more expensive look than having an iron, like solid piece that runs like all the way up the angle of the stairs. Mm-hmm. That's a less expensive way to do it than doing it directly into the tread, which again, I think feels a lot more custom into the tread or obviously onto the stringer. But this was 100% custom. This is all brass, antiqued brass. And that as far as like the full... What is that?
Balustrade.
Like the length of the balustrade is like this fluted brass.
So and then cool. I didn't notice that until this picture.
That's cylindrical. And then it goes into like a little knuckle on the top and bottom. And then we like straighten out into those brass blocks that go into the handrail and then go down into the tread. So the whole thing is custom. It was very expensive. But it looks very expensive. And it is one of my favorite to date.
I agree.
I was going to say like taking those balustrades. So they're on the tread coming down the stairs, obviously. That's normal. But then kind of continue on that landing, then going back down, like having them run into that marble and just,
Bananas.
That's
also,
like genius.
We ditched the newel post, guys. So this one normally would go into a newel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, gosh.
And then you didn't lay same material down. It just went into the material that was the floor on the landing or whatever floor. That's awesome.
Make sure you have a good builder. This is one, I mean, there's a lot of like out of state ones that were like really hand holding, like making sure the builder knows what to do. The builder like was able to execute this so beautifully without like with just the images, the drawings and stuff that we handed them to. So
That's so cool.
I just love it.
Suze, we were just barely talking about the Cozy Earth sheets and how much you love them. Tell the people about it.
Yes. Okay. The Cozy Earth sheet set I'm so passionate about because my husband, he sleeps hot. I usually sleep cold, but this is like the grand temperature regulator. I love these. I love them in the summer months, especially because like we can both sleep really, really comfortably. You know, when you hang like one leg out of the sheet and you're trying to like regulate, that doesn't happen. They're so good. I love them so much. They're temperature regulating and it's guaranteed to give you a comfortable night's sleep. They're made from viscose, from bamboo, and they naturally wick away the heat and the moisture from your body, helping you sleep several degrees cooler. So we're not all fighting over the thermostat anymore. We just got Cozy Earth sheets. It's amazing.
It's the way to go. And they also have a 100-night sleep trial. So you can try them during the hottest nights of the year. If you're not in love, return them hassle-free.
Dude, that's proof positive that these things work.
Yes. Luxury shouldn't be out of reach. Go to CozyEarth.com and use code DearAlice for up to 40% off Cozy Earth's best-selling temperature-regulating sheets, apparel, and more. Trust me, you'll feel the difference the very first night. That's CozyEarth.com, code DearAlice. Sleep cooler, lounge lighter, stay cozy.
Okay, this is
such a heart.
Highland Manor on the portfolio. This is a home where actually the limestone stairs existed. We got rid of all the railings, and then we created a custom design for this one. This is so special because we've got circles and we've got curved shapes interacting, and this is a real geometry of a thing. And I think a favorite too amongst all of ours.
You know the continual line drawings that where you never lift up your pen and it just continues and it's like this eternal round. That was part of this. Like this was actually one of our dear friends. We've done a home for her before.
She's in my neighborhood. Yeah.
And she found her person later in life and they just had like so much as far as when we went into this, she had a lot of feedback as far as this eternal round and never starting, never stopping. And that influenced like this relationship influenced the stair railings. That's how personal
that's crazy.
You can get with your home, guys. So that's why this is so special, is that never once does it stop. It just continues. Isn't like this eternal round. So
I also love that there's no like standard newel either.
Yeah.
That it kind of makes it feel like that rhythm just keeps going on forever, because a big like hefty newel would be like, this is a period on the end of that sentence, you know? Yeah. So that's really cool.
I think this is also very reflective of the client, not only that story, but in the fact that when you look at it in first glance, like it's beautiful, it's contrasting with everything around it. But when you start to look up close, you realize how magnificent it is. And I feel like that's how everything she does. She's like magnificent at all the details. Like she's an executive, she's an engineer, but like just even how she dresses, you're just like, it is luxury to the nines, but she does, it's not bright fuchsia. Like it is sophisticated as you can get. And I feel like that is completely represented here.
Changing gears, we're going to go into a home that was recently built, but reads like a historical home. This is our Linden Art Manor in the portfolio, and they have a really special staircase.
Yeah, when I walked in and saw this for the first time, I honestly had never seen something like it. It's super cool. So kudos to you, Suze, and your team. So awesome.
There's something very historical about this. She wanted to feel like an old pioneer house type of thing, you know, with the rock and the overgrout. And so when we were trying to this is like right when you walk in, the stairs are right there. And we're like, does it need to be iron? Does it need to be like what? And should it be? And like, it's not the exact same, but do you know, like on the Mark Twain boat at Disneyland?
Oh yeah. You
know how that's wood cut out, right? It's like that, but this is a much more simplified motif and it's in a stain. Anyway, so think about that, guys. It's not, so this is a full like wood pony wall for those of you listening, that goes, you know, from the actual like skirt to about 36 inches or so. And we did like the CNC cutout with the builder along this whole thing. And then we curved that newel post down. So it kind of like pulls you back towards the hallway that you need to go through to see the rest of the house. So this is such a cool application. I love it so much. We've done this a couple times with 2 different clients. We'll show you the next one. But it is like this is such a memory point because you just don't see it that often. But the shapes aren't complicated. I mean, not to say that this is an easy or inexpensive thing to do, because it's not, but it's like the shapes are, I don't know, they're simple, edited, but the rhythm is just so interesting. It's like when you get that light shadow play, when you see all these verticals and things happening, like with the wall treatment or architecture, the stairs can do that same thing.
Talk to me about like using, because what I think a lot of these rhythms and kind of the common denominator I'm seeing all this like are circles. So like you're taking, you're like pretty, basic shapes for the most part. Rectangles, obviously they're, angled because they're going upstairs, but like you use circles a lot in that. And I think that does like a great job to kind of give it more interest, but also kind of doesn't make it feel so blocky,
sterile.
So like when you're like creating a rhythm, like, are you intentionally like, oh, this needs some like roundness to it, so like what's your thought process in that?
Yeah, I think in anything, we talk a lot about non-directional objects in general, just to take the edge off. And like with stairs, you're dealing with 90-degree angles over and over and over as you ascend a staircase. And so again, that radius, that round, it just softens everything. It allows us to kind of create those shapes on the, on that newel post and the linden art. But yeah, and they're just fun like dots to play with. I don't know. At the end of the day, we're just like kids drawing. And so, I think
it softens it.
Yeah.
It takes direction away. And then you can see too, the light fixtures are going to give you some of that soft shape too.
So now we're looking at a picture of tiger oak. And this one was really fun because where we could have gone with like a traditional iron, we did stay complete wood paneled pony wall going all the way up the stairs and then on an actual breezeway that hits at the top of the stairs.
How do they... Sorry, continue. I was just going to ask, do you know how they make that newel? Like, is that... so this is tiger oak, and the newel is kind of like the Linden Art Manor one where it kind of is a radius, but it's obviously a straight wall that kind of turns into a radius on the last tread. So, like, do they make...
God's hands.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Somehow.
Sorry, that's just like the engineering part of my brain, just being like, how's that done? How would I do that? But I think it's really cool because again, that's like adding a radius to finish work that is, rectangular. So it's just like, that's where my eye goes. And I'm like, that's just really the raddest point.
And it's also kind of the part that's at human scale because this is a 2-story entryway. And you do see that pony wall and all of this beautiful finish work, but that radius lowest part of that whole design is where the human enters. And there's like that softness as you kind of come in and kind of walk around the arcuated part.
And you interact with it. You hold that as you go up. And I'm like, that's a really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So great. And I feel like this isn't done as often either. So it's really fun to be able to see this in a space and it's very continuous. And I think there's a lot of sort of mystery and interest. Like, what's around that corner? And I love the paneling details, the sconces, everything. For those of you that can see this, the pony wall is a really, really fun idea on the stair.
And I like that we didn't like stop it at the stair like elevation. It goes all the way down, which I think is like what makes like this space. It's the only spot in the whole house that's 2-story. So like that verticality is just so much more enhanced than if we like chopped it short, at the ankles and just let it drip. It's so good.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah, lovely. We have an example on screen. This is a remodel, and I think a lot of us can relate to this idea and this image. This is a client that really wanted to go for it on the interiors. She left the exterior of this 90s home, beautiful brick home, and we were trying to figure out in the budget what would make the most impact. And at the end of the day, she just has a set of stairs that go down to the basement. They don't go up. This is a rambler type home. And in the end, we just said, let's just spray the existing oak, balustrades, handrail, this whole stair system. Let's just spray it all black. And then let's really put the money into this new marble floor and some of the other things that we were doing. So I wanted to just show you the impact that just painting something existing that has a beautiful silhouette, it really pulls the rhythm out. It made it feel a lot more fashionable, like a great necklace or something like that. And it completely took away the 90s spirit of this home. So this is a really affordable trick to do if you're not going to be doing custom, is you could just really figure out an awesome stair runner. You could pull a great paint color and just celebrate the rhythm of a staircase and sink your money into something else. And this is what this looks like.
I just want to say, like, just make sure it's glossy.
Yes.
Oh,
I was about to say, if that was flat or satin, it'd be like, oh, such a bummer. They just painted it. But when it's glossy, it feels new.
Yeah, and it's going to soak up all, like, if it's not glossy, it's going to soak up all, like, your oils from your hand and stuff when you're going up and down the stairs.
Kids'
that's
hands.
Probably it. From the sheen of it, it kind of looks like a lacquer. Is that, yeah?
I think they sprayed it.
Yeah, so if you're going to do that, you can actually do a tinted lacquer. So you pick a paint color, go to, I always use Sherwin-Williams, but yeah, they can take a lacquer and tint it with whatever color, that you specify. So,
total squirrel, but in that same note, that's what we do in kitchens as well. Like remodeling kitchens is a tinted lacquer because it's so hard wearing and you are going to be interacting. I mean, it's the hardest working room or bathroom in the house.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep, so true.
Okay, back on task. This is one more historical staircase. This is existing. This home's on the National Registry in Salt Lake City, Utah. This is early 1900s, and just the rosettes and the beautiful big oak newel post here. Just so special.
If you're going to do a box newel post, like that's the way to do it. Man, yeah, that's amazing.
And even the balustrades are
that's in.
Yeah, even the balustrades are so special. It doesn't read like from Home Depot. You can tell the turnings and all of the special detail and rhythms in this are just, I don't know, they just don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, even just the size, like the thickness of that, I can tell that that's not like a big box store.
And in a remodel like this, you're like, oh, that is going to stay. We are going to celebrate that. Yeah. We'll choose a runner. We're going to furnish this. We can paint other things, but that needs to just remain as is.
On the opposite side of that, though, on the wall, though, like taking that curvature of that like wainscoting coming down and not just doing like a miter, that'd probably be like 22.5 degree. But yeah, just kind of like having it curved down, super cool.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really beautiful. So that hopefully answers your question, Karen, about what we would do at your house, and hopefully the rest of you on for this ride got to see some really great stair rails and ideas for your own home, and just see the impact that a really incredible inspired set of balustrades or a situation like what's on screen right now could do to your house. This is an absolute iconic moment for you. So if you're maybe living in an older home, this could really inspire something new that helps you leave your mark on it.
I'll say one more thing.
Yeah.
Downstairs. For those of you, again, that like, as far as we all have a budget, we get it. We have gone through catalogs and just like looking for the more interesting balustrade that has like more like unique things, like ones that have like a tulip repetitive shape, or, just be brave and do something interesting. Like, even if you're like looking through a catalog, we've done it before. There's different pairings and fittings and things you can do to make it a stocked piece a lot more interesting. So
that is, and also maybe take balustrades that are from different sets, and then you can create like your own rhythm. Because a lot of the times, like when you go to like a door shop or something where they sell balustrades, they'll be like, this is the package that you get with this. It's like, well, let me get like some of those, and then some of these other ones that have like a shape to them, and then like create your own rhythm with that. You don't have to just like buy the package that they're selling you,
And you can always like chop again, like versus creating a custom balustrade. You can take one that's in stock. You could chop off a portion of it and have them solder, one that you actually like. Anyway, that's still less expensive than making a whole new one. So anyway, there's ways around it. Be creative. And
yeah. Good. Well, you guys, thank you for listening. And we have our summer sale going on right now. So it's a really good time to shop if you are working on a project and needing anything, furniture, accessories. It's site-wide. It's 20% off. AliceLaneHome.com. So go check it out. Get yourself something really nice. No code needed. We would love for you to comment below and review. This is how we can grow the show. And if you have any interior design question like Karen's, we would love to hear them. So you can send those to Dear Alice at AliceLaneHome.com. And we'll catch you next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.